sorry. Where are you, take us? Move.
Where on, Doctor? You said this chap was dead.
It's too late, Hibbert.
I don't know. I think it's a TARDIS.
Doctor?
Do you think we're actually going to see anything tonight? Oh, why?
Just outlived a bit if you... Yeah, that's what happens.
We'll escape eventually, you know. It's just a matter of time.
Oh, really, sunshine?
My introduction to filmmaking and photography goes back to growing up as a young kid in the 1980s. My grandfather on my mother's side, as well as being a doctor during the Second World War, was a keen photographer and captured us, my brothers and sisters, growing up as children right through our early days. And I was always fascinated by that, so much so that about the age of 8 he bought me my first camera, which was a Polaroid. And I've still got a couple of pictures, one of my grandfather and my grandmother together with my sister, who was about 3 at the time. That would have been about 1985, so that was one of the first pictures I took. But that sparked an interest, if you like, in that sort of that subject. Moving on to film work, skip forward a couple of years to about 1988, 1989. We were then living in Scotland, and a family friend had come down to visit us. They brought with them their video camera. Now this was to be an introduction to this format, because we were blissfully unaware of it at that time, being so young. And they filmed a little short that we put together with my brother, my sister and a school friend called Eric, and that was a little James Bond's short. That never made it to videotape, unfortunately. He basically wired the camera to the television set and we watched it back, and then he went off and we never saw that again. And sadly that tape no longer exists. So skip forward a couple of years to about 1990, and I took the opportunity to do a short film with a friend of mine from school. I'd been invited out to the day to Corfe Castle in Dorset. I went along with my school friend, my brother and his parents, and I think we got the bus or coach, but we took along a bag full of costumes because we'd been growing up in the 80s. We watched a lot of television, including Doctor Who, which was one key programme I enjoyed as a child, and we thought we'd have a go doing our own. This series had come to an end previously the year before, and we were very naive. We thought we'd have a go making our own, so we had no money, costumes or props or anything like that. We thought we'd have a go making our own short. So we filmed this little 3-minute video, which would have been nice if we'd got the whole thing in the can, as it were. But unfortunately his mum, bless her, had no directions from us, would wander with the camera from filming us acting to the scenery or her children climbing on the rocks. And then back to us again, so the footage was very unusable. We cobbled together a short video, but that was really the catalyst that got us into filmmaking full time. So skip forward to the summer of 1991. A family friend by chance had heard, I think my grandparents had told them about this little video we'd done at Corfe Castle, and they very fortunately, very kindly gave us permission to use their family video camera, which would have been a very expensive product at the time. That was a shoulder mounted VHS camcorder, for those who wanted to know. Much like this one I have here, which I prepared earlier. This is a much younger model, again a Panasonic, which is like what we used, but this is a bit younger and a bit more advanced. But basically you put your VHS tape in the side of the camera and you work like that, and you record all your footage, and that goes directly onto the tape, and then you can put that tape back into your VHS player and you can play it directly without having to do any editing, which was wonderful. The Panasonic model we used, for those who are interested, it was a Panasonic M7. That was a mono handheld camcorder, which also had a feature called Audio Dub, which was wonderful because we had the chance to, you could basically record another audio soundtrack over the top of the existing recorded content. So whatever you'd filmed on the camera, if you wanted to add music to that, you could select a source either by line in or just by using the camera's inbuilt mic, and that would allow you to dub another soundtrack over the top of the existing audio, which was brilliant because you were editing your own film in camera without having to duplicate the tape or make copies.
calling for? It's too late, sir. He's dead.
Then what? Well, he's unconscious. He's so unconscious that I'd say he was constipated. Is that possible?
I think we're wasting our time using the ultimate machine on some superstition. But it's true, Judson. All it will. I mean, the curse of Fenric will come true. If you decipher these translations, the curse of Fenric and the power will be ours.
Boring. What are chains?
Pardon?
Chains?
The chains of Fenric will shatter. My chains? My chains? Why must you always remind me? I offer you everything!
Yeah, what we're supposed to do now is Nissa's supposed to stay here with Adric, and I'm supposed to go off with you to try and destroy the machine. I know, I remember. Well, come on then. Come on. What about me, Doctor? No, you stay here with Nissa. She's not so violent. What the hell's going on? I heard noises. Should we investigate Nissa?
Oh my God, horrible.
Wait there. Go away!
What is it? Is he dead? Who did?
Him. Rather than the colonel thing. He shouldn't do. Like that.
Time to go to bed.
Time to go to bed.
As the years went on and time went by, we sort of regressed a little bit because we wanted to buy one of those cameras ourselves, but we never really had the money to invest in that. And the following year, at the age of 15, my parents very kindly bought me my first camcorder, which is a Panasonic MC20. That was a micro VHS-C, so VHS compact, the little smaller tapes. That was to my first personal video camera, which went on to do dozens of recordings. And the only disadvantage of that was you couldn't add a microphone input to it or dub onto it, so you were forced to make copies onto another cassette. Now, anyone who's ever worked with VHS will know that when you copy from one tape to another, it loses a little bit of quality, the resolution is reduced. So if you were editing all your scenes onto one tape and then using that copy and then adding music, by the time you got to the third or fourth generation copy, the picture quality was dramatically reduced. And that was something I was very conscious of and tried to avoid. It would be nice to go back now 30 years later and look at those original tapes and be able to remaster them with modern technology, but because we were kids, we didn't have any money. The only input we had was pocket money or whatever my parents could afford to give me, so those tapes were reused. Not something I do today, obviously. In hindsight, I wish I'd be able to keep those original recordings because I would have been able to make better masters of them, but at that time we had limited funds, so we would make a recording on that camera tape, make a master copy from that, editing all your music and dubbing and scenery onto that second copy, and then those original camera tapes would be reused. So I would often be for hours upon end sat in front of a television set with a VHS camera on standby. So when it came to editing, we moved on from the VHS camcorder, so we didn't have that audio dub facility. So I had to find a way of getting music onto our videos. Now in the early days, we just experimented by having a cassette player off camera. We played music in the background. That was never ideal because the moment you press pause on the camcorder, you cut the music, so all the audio would be choppy and out of sync, and it just was horrible. So I wanted to improve upon that. So I'd worked out that using a Y-piece, I could split the sound from the camcorder and from a CD or a cassette player. So effectively I was channeling two audio sources directly onto the VHS deck, and that's how I got my music and audio mix. This was very crude. Like I said, it took hours to do. I would often spend 12 to 15 hours sat in front of a television set, queuing up the camera, queuing up the CD or the tape player, and by modern standards it was antiquated. You wouldn't do something like that today. And also working with VHS. Back in the 80s and early 90s, VHS decks were still quite expensive to purchase. So most families would have rented or hired their electrical equipment from a television shop. You'd hire your television, you'd hire your VCR, As you'd have it under service, so if anything went wrong, that machine would go back. And because we were doing quite a lot of editing, those machines became damaged, or the heads needed cleaning, so they'd often go back. So we'd end up with a variety of different machines, some better than others. And I soon found that when you press pause on the VCR, the video recorder, if you went back and had to edit a scene, you got something called colour bleed or feedback, where two scenes overlap and you get this rainbow pattern, which is horrible. It's basically where the end of the recorded section ends and then you have the second section, but because they've gone back to queue up the recording for the next section, the two would temporarily bleed over each other. This is just the way it worked. So I'd worked out through trial and error that if I advanced the frame of the recording past the end of the recorded section and then put the machine or the deck into record pause mode, the heads would queue back a few frames, and this would either end with a perfect edit where the two sequences just purely by chance and fluke join perfectly without any gap, or alternatively, this is sadly more the case, you end up with a gap where I'd overshot and the two sections had a blank space in between, or you went back to the previous problem of colour bleed over the two sections. So it was very, very problematic and not ideal. Fortunately, by the mid to late 90s, we moved on to VHS decks which had something called a fly and erase head, and that meant that you could basically stop the tape any way you wanted, press play or record again, and it would just seamlessly blend it and continue. And that was wonderful. That was like the holy grail of VHS decks.
Dead man's ship has slipped its moorings, and the great ash trembles to its roots itself.
Prepare the contest again.
So, towards the mid-90s, my younger brother Chris was growing up and was getting to an age where I was able to involve him a bit more in our productions. So between myself and my younger brother and my sister, we started doing music videos. These were a lot easier to produce. I've been told by my sister I'm not allowed to feature any material on this because she will kill me. Yeah, we went from sort of doing dramas and documentaries to short music videos. They were easy to produce. And then in about 2000, my sister fell pregnant with her first child. So things took a bit of a back foot then, because I had just started working. I'd gone into my first full-time job just to support myself. So at that point in my life, the videos, they didn't stop, but they became fewer and fewer. And obviously, as you grow up, you have to go into work, and my hobby became not something that was frequently visited like it had been. My sister was busy with the kids, so I took a break for a few years from filmmaking. Filmmaking is something that I'd always wanted to do when I was at school. I wanted to go into it professionally, but things change, circumstances don't always work out like you want them to. I came to a crossroads in my life where I had the choice of whether to go to college or work, and purely this all happened in the space of a week. I'd had a college interview and I also had a job offer, and at that point in my life I'd moved out of my parents. I was supporting myself to a certain degree, and I took the opportunity I took the choice, whether that was right or wrong now, to go into full-time work. So the videos became something that was not happening that often. Years had gone by, a bit of hiatus if you like, and I'd mentioned to a couple of friends at work that I'd done filmmaking, and we watched a couple of films together. And the subject of making a movie came up, and the more I thought about it, the more enthusiastic I got about it. This was 2012, so some time had gone past. We'd watched a foreign film called Troll Hunter, which I recommend. That's about a it's a Norwegian. I think it's a Norwegian film from memory. I'd have to double check that. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. So it's a foreign film, and this group of students, it's shot in a documentary style. These group of students follow this man into the woods for what they think is a bear expedition. It later turns out through the course of events that he's a hunter, and they all think he's a bit crazy, but it turns out to be trolls that he's hunting.
Do you think we're actually going to see anything tonight? Oh, why?
I'm actually getting a little bit scared now.
Can you be in charge of finding food? I've been attacked! I've been attacked! That's his noise! I'll just get the giblets!
He's just saying
We'll have to
he wants to get the giblets.
Aye!
Dear God, what have we done?
Oh my God!
He's actually dead because of him.
Have you seen a Beastie before? Okay. Didn't he say I was going to be responsible for either of you?
But how do you know? How do you know it was the Beastie?
Clawed it to death with my own teeth!
And that was it, we were back into it. I wrote this script called Mad Hamish Monster Hunter. I play this Scottish eccentric who goes into the woods. Rather than going down the route of the troll, we went down the route of a giant ape, who's portrayed by my brother, who was very, very... he put up with a lot in that production. He had to wear a rather unflattering costume and a rubber monkey mask, and we filmed it in very low light, so it doesn't actually look that bad on film, but if you'd seen the costume in daylight, and there are some pictures, it's not flattering. But that really ignited my passion for filmmaking again, and through a few opportunities that arose, I ended up working for a young team of filmmakers like myself in Bognor Regis. I met up with a few people, young students who'd they were producing their own production, and I went along there, did a bit of camera work for them.
99 to 106A, take 17.
Action!
How are we ever going to escape? I mean, fuck knows what's out there.
Well, I don't fucking know, do I? I can't sort everything out.
You're such a fucking...
Look, you don't take it out on me. This house is just testing us. And you're falling right into its hands.
It's a house, Daniel, a fucking house.
I think we've established it's a bit more than that.
Got to know them, and through that made a few new contacts.
No, but people might not be safe.
There's 6 of us here tonight. I think we'll be fine, thanks.
1, 2, 3.
What's going on?
Took it upon themselves to interfere. Took the consequences.
He's here.
Trust me, girl, we are going to see some freaky shit.
Halloween: A New Beginning, which is a great film. I'm very proud of it. With a new cast of young up-and-coming actors, some of which have gone on to RADA and doing really, really well. Yeah, that was an opportunity that I was very, very proud of, because it gave me it reignited my passion for what really fuels me. Right, today we are filming the opening of this little short, which is the detective. He's retired, maybe he's in a nursing home, but he gets past a newspaper which brings memories flooding back, and he's suddenly taken back to his life 30 years ago when he was a young, keen amateur investigator, and we see from his own memories what actually happens. Something like that, anyway. Actually, no, I've only got one glove, haven't I?
You found the other one, brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Cheers, mate. Sorry, Lauren. I'm sorry, it's my fault for not telling you. Can you keep in the middle? Yeah, because I'm trying to follow you walking down the centre. Yeah. Okay, go. And since then, subsequently, I've gone on to do a film with I took a few of my friends who've never done acting before. And that was a film called Payback, which is loosely based on the American film Drive, which is also to do with revenge and a garage owner who gets killed, and his employee goes off and seeks revenge on his behalf.
Hey Ryan, it's been a while.
If you had the chance to get even with somebody, what would you do?
And how are you?
I'm doing good, working at the garage, it pays the bills. I'm gonna do it for as long as I can.
How do you mean?
The boss, he owes the wrong kind of people some money. Figured I should help out.
Don't go getting yourself hurt.
I borrowed some money. Only now they want their money back.
Oh, he's looking for a gang? They've been threatening his boss?
What I was doing all those years ago was just making movies. What I didn't realise I was doing in retrospect was capturing my life.
There's this boy there from along the story called Ransom, and he says that you're harbouring monsters. Who are they taking? They're not. I mean, they're...
Have you contacted Baldy to see if he can help?
Trying to keep the noise down. It's very
Well,
loud.
make sure he can hear him.
We've shrunk to 1 inch.
1 inch?
Yes. You, me, Ian, Susan, and the TARDIS.
There's not many people who can say they've got their whole entire childhood on camera. I'm very fortunate about that. I attribute that very much so to my grandfather's photography, which I became fascinated with. Through my friends and family who've all been brilliant supporting me, and they've all contributed to my passion and enthusiasm. Will I stop? It's unlikely. My younger brother now, Chris, who's doing well for himself, he's following in my footsteps. And where we go from here? Well, whether I'm here in another 30 years, having a second update, I don't know. Probably not, but we shall see. But yeah, this has sort of brought me up to speed with, brought you up to speed with my life, my passion, my enthusiasm. Yes, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.